Dungeon gangsta ho. Sword slips a sheet, strikes a neck and takes a throat out. I'm crawling through your dungeon and bitch, I'm leaving no doubt that you win pillage by the motherfucking best.
This is Ross Payton here with Role-Playing Public Radio, and this is episode 36, Gencon 2009 Wrap-Up. And
it's really sad, ladies and gentlemen. He does this every time. He does the announcer voice because he thinks it makes him sound relevant.
Yes.
But all it does is make him sound like a total jackass.
Well, yeah, you can go on and whatever helps you sleep at night, Tom. You can go
I sleep just fine, and I don't do that voice.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're not the one who introduces the episode.
I could be.
You could be, but you're not.
I could introduce it without that accent.
You could. It's not an accent, Tom.
The voice. I could do it without the voice.
You could, but it wouldn't be right.
Probably not.
Anyway, we're, of course, come back from Gencon 2009, the big ol' gala event of the gaming calendar year, and we've had all kinds of adventures and mishaps, and
30,000 of the alpha gamers out there?
Well, 20,000. 25,000.
Yeah. 30,000 of the hot gamers out there.
Okay.
I apologize for that noise interruption that just happened.
Oh, snap. So we have a lot to talk about. First, I do want to mention a little bit of news. The Goblin Hulk ransom is a success. Thank you.
Thank you, money donators?
Yes. We will have that up hopefully by September 20th, maybe a little later. We'll just see. We'll get the quality out. You know, we're working on
We're all about quality.
Yes, as you know, we're all about quality.
And if that means it's delayed for 16 months, that's just how we roll.
Yeah. Well, anyway. So we're just going to focus this whole episode on Gen Con, obviously. What we did, what we bought, what we gamed, what we saw, what we learned.
And what we eventually lamented we didn't do and are going to do next year. Yeah.
Hopefully. So, I guess the first things first, and that would be the trip up. So,
yeah, and
as you may know or may not know, we're in Springfield, Missouri here, which is about a 7.5 hour car drive to...
depending on how many times you stop and for how long.
Yeah, well, 7.5 hours of being in the car, of driving, of transportation. So
the transport phase.
Yes, the road trip, or you want to call it that. So this year we did something a little different.
Ross, I gotta give Ross some credit here, as much as this burns me to say so, that he had a great idea.
Your soul. Yes,
it does. Ross took along something we hadn't taken along before, an audiobook.
Several audiobooks, in fact.
But one in particular that stands out, of a book that came out, 5 years ago?
2004, yeah.
Yeah, the Daily Show Presents America the Book.
They're good folk. They're funny. Yeah.
And I recall we started it in Rolla, which is about
hour and a half.
About 100 miles exactly from Springfield.
Yeah.
And we started it as soon as we departed Rolla after filling up with gas. It ended about an hour just before we arrived, and we barely noticed the time pass.
Yeah.
That is, an audiobook is a good thing to bring.
It's 3 discs, and it is quite hilarious. It is Jon Stewart and the entire Daily Show crew, or at least
doing stuff.
2004,
reading a book I'm sure you've already read.
Well, I mean, I think they changed a lot about it, but it's more like a radio play. They put a lot of production value in it. It's not just reading; they have sound effects,
and we learned things like Warren G. Harding is a worthless piece of shit.
Yeah, that's Stephen Colbert's. The
worst president.
The worst president is apparently Warren G. Harding. So all you haters out there, you gotta
get your hate on.
No president you've ever lived under has been equal to Warren G. Harding. Fuck him. Seriously.
Fuck him in his stupid ass.
Fuck that guy. Yeah,
get your hate on.
Yeah, exactly. So get your war on.
But seriously, to make a long trip past an audiobook is an awesome thing.
And the reason we did the audiobook thing was because previous years, it was about just the music.
Well, it's about dueling music.
Yeah, and
Ross likes techno. I don't.
I like a lot of different music, and it's electronica, and there's so many different genres.
But I don't like it.
House, there's trip hop,
no one cares. No one cares.
There's drum and bass, liquid
Ross,
drum and bass.
No one cares.
Trance drum and bass.
No, I am speaking for everyone when I say no one cares.
I think some people care, Tom.
I don't think they do.
People with good taste.
No. But really, so like that's what our first time we went. That's what it pretty much degenerated to. After the excitement and talking was done, is when the music came up. I put a CD in, where I was like, "Yeah, okay, well that's now. Let me play some real music."
Yeah.
And then that was about 90 minutes of audio agony. Of the same notes over and over and over.
Yes,
and over
because
again.
the music you listen to is so noted for its variation and.
There's more variation than that techno crap.
Yes, Tom. Yes, there's more variation.
See, we're explaining to you why we decided an audiobook
Just
was
give me
a
a
good
little
idea.
sample there. So, anyways, that's a road trip. So, if you're going on another road trip with people with different varying tastes, I select the middle ground. Find some audiobooks or podcasts. Perhaps you could burn podcasts to audio CD.
Now, we refrain from listening to our podcast because then we would just probably really get smug.
Yeah. Be like, oh, it's so great.
And Aaron was the only other person in the car, so it would have been us like, now you see, Aaron, you see what we're doing here. It says we're going back and forth.
Well, actually, I was talking about other podcasts, like the many other, like,
Ross,
RPG
you're a
podcasts,
douchebag, shut up.
or even horror podcasts or film podcasts. There are a variety of podcasts.
We can listen to ourselves and
anyway.
listen to our genius.
Well, we're sort of going off topic there.
That's what we do.
So that's our little tip for road trips.
Oh no, and the other thing, to avoid all those long stops for food.
Well, I brought food, but that was more for Gencon itself.
Well, it also worked for the road trip too.
Yeah.
We'll go into more of that detail later.
Yeah, more of our lessons learned. But anyways, so we got there, Indianapolis. We got there the day
early.
before. Yeah,
we planned. That was what we planned from last year. Good freaking thing to do.
Yeah, you really don't want to get there a day late, or even you don't want to leave on the morning it starts, because that's time. Basically, think of it as like a game. You want to maximize the amount of fun you have at Gen Con, so you have to get there as early as possible.
And if you're spending half the day traveling, that's fun wasted.
Exactly.
You cannot waste fun.
Yeah, it's a game, and
if you waste fun, you are no better than Warren G. Harding.
All right. So got there. This year I was staying with the Arc Dreams crew. They are, my publisher.
Ross has his own publisher.
Yes, because I'm a
He's elite.
writer. Yes. Well, I was also running a bunch of games for them. I ran 6 official games for them, which is kind of insane.
Yeah.
And
I, however, paid for my room.
Yes, at the high. See, I was at the Westin.
Yes.
So Westin was pretty cramped. Many of us in the same room. I slept on an air mattress, but it was fine because I was so tired every day.
You passed right out.
Pretty much.
I stayed at the Hyatt Regency.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me tell you, not worth $300 a night.
No.
I guess if you come from the Midwest, you have an expectation for $300 a night.
Yeah, and what were your expectations, Tom?
Not what I got. Not a room that was the size of a Holiday Inn room.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And with less furniture than a Holiday Inn room, I might add.
Really? Oh, yeah, that's true, I guess. But were the beds comfy, Tom?
About the same as a Holiday Inn.
Okay.
I love Holiday Inn because it's cheap.
Okay, fair enough. But the idea is, when you're at Gen Con, you want to minimize the amount of time you spend in your room. You want to be like in and out at like, a ninja or something that is fast, like a cheetah. A cheetah
ninja.
Preferably robot.
Wereman.
Yeah. No. We're not mentioning Cinnabar. We're not tainting Gen Con with Cinnabar.
You brought it with you.
I know. I did. That's another thing I learned from Gen Con. Just a little tip. If you don't plan ahead of time that you're going to do something, it's not going to get done. Like, I thought I could spontaneously just go up to gamers and say, hey, read this from the world of Cinnabar. It'll be fun. I'm on a podcast.
Yeah, see, everyone's busy.
Yeah. Everyone's very busy, tired, and like there's so much stimulus. Yeah, like, oh my God, all this crap is going on that you're not going to be able to get their attention. So,
otherwise, of course, and the other thing that happened with this one was my friend Andy, who I've mentioned before, went there himself.
Yeah, you RPPR listeners will know he is the one who wrote up the
nautical druid,
dolphin druid.
Yes, and. Yeah, he flew down there, of course, and
because he lives in Seattle, right?
Yeah. Now we thought we would at first try to hook up with him, so we would arrive at the same time his plane landed, so we could pick him up. Then, of course, the reality of trying to go into the Indianapolis airport right the day before a convention and get out of there anytime that day.
Yeah.
So we and then of course not like we go an hour later. So he took a cab, and that was nice.
Yeah, there's just no way to coordinate that kind of stuff. I mean, that's, again, you have to... Plans never survive initial contact with the enemy or reality, so you have to keep them as simple and as idiot-proof as possible, because when you're on a trip, you're an idiot. I mean...
Absolutely. Yes, you are.
So with the hotels, basically their main benefit was that they are close to the thing.
Yeah, that's and could walk there via skywalk. And
yeah. Although at certain hours they would, like, especially late at night, they would close off the skywalk.
So you'd actually have to go outside. And
yes.
Outdoors.
Out of doors. So I guess this will bring us to our main sort of thrust.
The day of.
Well,
the convention itself.
Yeah, the events. I mean, the things that we did.
The meat and potatoes of the convention.
I mean, obviously later on we'll talk about what we bought, but I think it's what we did at Gen Con that's memorable, not what we bought.
Obviously, of course, what do you go to Gen Con for? The games.
Yeah.
And I ran my first one on the night before the convention.
Right.
Which I'm going to talk...
Well, that was an unofficial one.
That was an unofficial one.
Right.
But I ran it for Andy and Aaron, and I will talk about that more at length later.
Right. Because I was like off limits, like no invitation only.
No, the thing was we had to have music. And the stuff we all brought was probably copyrighted.
Well, yeah.
So that's why.
Well, I mean, like, you didn't invite any outside gamers.
No. It was me and thee. That's it.
Okay, fair enough. So I ran 6 games officially. That's on listed on there. All of them had at least 2 players. In fact, all of them sold out except for one, and that had 2 players. But all the other ones I had 6 or more players.
Yeah.
6. No, I think there's one that they pretty much all got 6 players, and yeah, that was kind of ridiculous. I ran one after hours too. Call of Cthulhu game for Tom, Shane Ivey, publisher, owner of Arc Dreams, Greg Stolze, the game designer, Aaron, and Andy. And
you ran it primarily because Andy requested you run a Ross Payton Call of Cthulhu game.
Oh wait, no, I'm forgetting one person, James Nevitt, who is one of the new, not one of the, but one of the Arc Dreams guys. So he's got some stuff in the works with them. So yeah, I had picked up Mysteries of Mesoamerica. From Pagan Publishing. It's a 1920s 30s supplement talking about Mesoamerica, historical information about the Mayans, Aztecs, Olmecs, and 4 scenarios in it. Now, last year he had the galleys of it. Scott Glancy from Pagan Publishing did, and he mentioned how there was one scenario in particular out of the 4 that was very lethal.
It was a meat grinder.
It's called the Well of Sacrifices, and I also looked. It was also the shortest of them. And since I had been asked to run Call of Cthulhu, and I didn't,
and you had like 10-15 minutes to prepare.
Yeah, I was like, I will run this, and it's 10 pages. So while you're making characters, I can actually read it and find out what the hell's going on. And what are you telling me about you had to leave early, Tom?
I got food poisoning.
Yeah,
halfway
through. Well, you weren't food poisoning. It was more like you didn't eat anything all day, and then you had a huge meal right before the game.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's more of not really the food poisoned you. It's rather,
but my own damn stupidity.
Yeah. So
I beat you to it.
Okay.
But yeah, I was in there until I was up there to the point I think we actually encountered the place of evil.
Yeah.
And everyone, one thing I do notice is everyone was really playing up the white people dealing with native stereotypes of the early 20th century.
True. We did record this game, by the way.
Yes, really playing it up. I was playing the like, you guys hired me to do a job, and I am also white, so shut up.
Yeah.
And this was, I think, Aaron's second Call of Cthulhu game. This was Andy's first.
Yeah.
So I'd have to actually talk to them to see what they think. But
didn't you to ask them what they thought?
Yeah, actually, Andy said he loved it.
Yeah.
Said that you know your shit. You got praise from Andy.
I know, right?
That's hardcore.
Yes, exactly, because he's one of those people who looks down on tactical role playing.
Aaron, however, had somewhat of a sheepish look when he came back to the room, so immediately my interesting radar went off.
Yeah.
So, Aaron, what did you think of the game? To which he proceeded to regale me with the tale of how not only his character died, that when he took over the one I abandoned when I got sick, that character died in exactly the same way.
Exactly. Now, spoiler alert, the place of evil Tom mentioned earlier is called the Well of Sacrifices, because it was a Mayan well used for human sacrifices.
Imagine that.
I know, and the well's dried out, but there's a cave underneath it, or like right next, like you go down the well, and there's a little side cave. Limestone, the water dug it out, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, in this cave are giant vampire bats, blood-sucking albino vampire bats that are actually the servants of the Mayan bat god. And basically what they want to do is suck enough blood out of somebody and then vomit it back onto stone in order to awaken their god. Here's how Aaron's first character died. They're basically crawling into the side cave. He failed his spot hidden check, and basically failed to notice the dozens of giant bats right overhead. Mm-hmm. And this was during the day, so they were all asleep. And this scenario specifically notes they won't awaken unless the players make a loud noise. And so what does Aaron do?
Like, hey guys, I think it's clear.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. He yelled to the other players and woke the giant bats up, and he got they started sucking his blood dry. He fell into a pool of water while a bat thrashing about it, trying to get a bat off of him. And I can't remember whether he drowned or whether he had all his blood drained.
Well, he was draining strength, so that made swimming harder.
Yeah, so he died a horrible death.
Luckily, I left because of my dumbass food decision.
Yeah,
and so he took over my dude, a much tougher person.
Yes, because you're more familiar with it, and you chose a Tommy gun among other
exactly.
things. So the player's plan basically wound up being, let's go back in the cave and shoot everything. That was literally their plan, and I had already shown them that there was a weird-ass rock in the center of the well that sucked blood out if you touched it. So they could have let's smash that, or let's destroy it, or let's get some dynamite and blow the fuck out of this
Well,
place.
it is, come on, it is Call of Cthulhu and it's dynamite.
They didn't, but no one ever mentioned the word dynamite. So what they went in there, him and another player went in there, and with shotguns and Tommy guns, open fired on the bats. The bats...
loud noises.
There were a lot of bats, and they were already agitated, and had some blood in them, so they killed Aaron again. And
the same way.
The same way. And then they summoned their blood god, and all the other players wound up being blood sacrifices or the first cultists of the bat god. So I let them choose. See, I'm a nice GM. I let them choose. Do you want to be dead or do you want to be a cultist? I think most chose cultist, but
yeah, they would.
Yeah, so that's a great game too, because Greg Stolze, he's a great role player as well as a game designer. I think he made most of his decisions based on failed occult checks. So
gotta love it.
Yeah. So why don't you tell me about some of the?
Okay, the first official game I was part of was the Star Wars game called Derelict, and I don't know what it was. Well, it was a combination of things, but not a good first official game. I just have to say, it's one of those, you have to be prepared to go off the script if you're running something for actual players. Mm-hmm. And the person running the game didn't seem to want to leave the script, ever.
Railroading.
Yeah, in fact, of the 4 hours it was the game, the person running it had to have spent 40, 50 minutes going through the book, quietly reading. And it was just not good.
Right.
The combat was really bland. It's the kind of combat that, D&D gets the bad rap for. Like, make a roll. You inflict this much damage. He attacks you. He misses. Okay, you attack. It went along like that.
Okay.
So, that was my first... It was Andy's first... and Andy and Aaron were both in this game. I recorded it.
Yeah.
So we will post it when it's time.
We will inflict this on you.
Yes.
Is what
it's
you're
just really bland.
Are there long periods of time where no one speaks at all?
Yeah, and Aaron actually, for his credit, he's really trying to breathe something into this.
Yeah.
He's trying. I mean, he thought of a few ideas that the other tech specialists like, yeah. But it's basically okay. We're attacking these droids. Can we try to look in the droid, see where it's receiving its orders from, and maybe break into it, to the signal so we can override it. and they both try it, and the person running it has the deer in the headlights look.
It's not a good sign.
No. So that was the first official game. We all left that one. Just that's 4 hours I'm not going to get back.
Wow.
But I must say,
yeah,
the next game we did made up for it.
Okay. Well,
first, regale us with one of your adventures.
Well, like I said, I ran the one game, and then I ran 6 games for Arc Dreams. Now, what I ran 2 sessions of Delta Green Night Shift, which is
kick-ass scenario.
Yeah, and I've sort of perfected it now since I've run it like 3 or 4 times now. And then I ran Monsters and Other Childish Things. I ran 1 game of Candlewick.
I was in that.
You were in that. And then I ran 2 chapters from my upcoming campaign, road trip campaign. One was Sucrose Park, which is set in Vegas, and that had 6 players. That was Sunday. That was my last game. And then I had Pastoral Manor, which only had 2 players. That was the one with 2 players. Pastoral Manor, it was interesting. The 2 players, they both had the kid and the monster. They really got into it. Kind of followed the same path of it. I was really blessed because there were a lot of people there. Everyone I ran games for was a good player, and
all the player. I mean, even the players of that Star Wars game, great players.
Yeah.
But I
think the thing is, there's all these horror stories about con gaming, playing at the convention, getting just horrible players. I think the thing is about Gen Con, it attracts the alpha gamers, the
people that want to go
really want to go,
and they're from all freaking over.
Yeah, and you really get the creme de la creme, and so. What was interesting, I'll just mention this, and you can go on to your next thing, is that I got recognized several times at Gen Con for being the host of RPPR, and I had I was running past Royal Manor, and there's a guy at the other table, looking over, he's like, are you Ross from RPPR? I was like, yes, I am. And so, it was really cool being recognized. And some of the RPPR listeners out there actually signed up and played in games.
Yeah.
And it was very, very cool experience. So Pastoral Manor, I don't want to spoil anything because it's
coming out.
Yeah, it's coming out. But the players really got into it, and I think they kind of wound up at the same solution you guys did when I playtested for you. The
good ending.
The good ending, more or less. I kind of streamlined a little more because I didn't want to. It's the way I've set it up. You can run it either as one session or you could spread out among other sessions. So I kind of ran the quick version, but. I think they weren't as interested in investigating the background, and they just went straight to the action. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And so let's hear about your good game.
The next game was the day after when I ran Mutants and Masterminds. Well, I didn't run. I played it. I rarely get to do that, and I'm gonna say that the guy that ran that one knew his shit. And I had never got to play a real game of it where the guy knew every rule hands down. Knew how to run a game, keep it going, keep the players interested. It was just dynamite. It was called Freedom Isn't Free. We were playing members of the Freedom League. I was playing the armored guy Daedalus. That I remember that when you did him, it was like, yes, I will go. Yes, it was like a positive Dalek or something.
Yeah.
Instead of like exterminate, it's I will help you.
He was I remember running him as an NPC. He was a very enthusiastic. Go-getter kind of guy.
Very, very nice. But no, I played the combat session. We were fighting the Alpha Centurion, which is the evil version of the Centurion, and we were. It got to the point where we were all standing up because it was pretty just coming down to die rolls who got a better die roll, but he was doing it in such a way that he was like, okay, go, and you go. So he wasn't dragging it out. It was really quick. And when we finally brought him down, we actually, not cheer, but, slam the table and in celebration. By the time I left, I loved that. And he's like, I didn't.
He's not so much on the
dice
rolling.
It's not. Yeah, that's not his idea of what good combat is. I'm like, dude, we were on our feet. Come on.
Fair enough. All right. Let me talk about Delta Green Night Shift because that was 2 sessions. Now the basic idea is you start out as I will spoil a little bit of it. If you've been on the Delta Green email list, you probably are. You start as heavily armed special forces soldiers defending a mall, And you think, well, that's odd, that's unusual. Well, yeah, it is. So the whole idea is that the players trying to figure out why the hell they're there in the first place, and what's really going on. And it's kind of, I think, a David Lynch kind of movie version of Delta Green. I think I played
or Terry Gilliam.
Yeah. Now there are a couple of now I'm going to be running this at DragonCon, so I don't want to spoil. I'll fully spoil it and write it up after DragonCon. Until then, yeah, I'm going to keep the wraps on. But I do want to say, players in the two different groups had different decisions. For example, the NPC McCready. Mm-hmm. One of the players, one group let him be. The other group arrested him and then shot him in the head while he was in custody. So, very different reactions. I like it. What's interesting now is I want to run it a whole bunch more times to see how every group reacts differently, because certain encounters, like the very infamous one that you know what I'm talking about, the kiosk, with the big crowd. One group, they're like, oh, that's kind of interesting. The other group just totally lost their shit. I mean, they just like could not
no witnesses.
Almost like we're shutting this place down. They just did not. They like. It's interesting how different groups reacted.
Homeland Security.
So if you ever get a chance, you should run the same scenario several times with different groups, because you get different reactions. And I think that's one of the great joys of gaming, is seeing how different groups of people react to the exact same thing. And so I recorded both games, although I think on the first one I was running solely on batteries, and I think I may have missed the last couple minutes of it. So yeah. We'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I remember how it ended up. So yeah. Anyway, what else did you play?
Well, I had one more game I had signed up for, but it was 9:00 on Sunday morning after we had done the Epic game, if you will. I was barely conscious at 9:30.
Yeah.
So I pretty much nearly died on that one.
Yeah.
But those are the only official games I was involved in. However, I was involved in your Candlewick Manor.
Okay, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Because that's sort of like what I was going to mention next. Candlewick Manor, of course, is a setting for monsters and other childish things. This is actually written by the game's creator, Ben Bao. Mm-hmm. And it's basically, imagine Edward Gorey, the Addams Family, a series of unfortunate events, and the X-Men, because you're all like playing orphans who are abandoned in this weird 1930s town called Candlewick, and you're at the Candlewick Manor, which is an orphanage run by this very rich, eccentric old guy, and you all have these creepy skills. So like, you could have the Innsmouth look like.
That's what I had. Yeah.
Like I had 6 pregens, and they all have different abilities. Like one could make drawings come to life. His little crayon drawings. And
one had like some Invader Zim spider legs out of his back.
Yeah, and those are the 6 pregens in the book. And then, of course, since Tom was sort of playing unofficially, I had 7 players for this game, which was kind of ridiculous, but
it worked.
It worked very well. I was very pleased with it, because the way Candlewick, it runs differently than in normal Monster. You don't start out with a monster. And you don't start out with any relationships. You start out with what they call echoes. Do you want to explain echoes?
Essentially, it's flashbacks to your past.
Right. And these echoes, you just write down some sort of sensory input. Like, it could be the smell of cigar smoke, or
taste of ice cream.
Taste of ice. What did you have?
I had the smell of ocean air.
Okay. Was that your only one?
It was that one and engine like boat fuel.
Boat fuel. Okay, so very nautical.
Yeah.
And what you do is you invoke anytime you're in a scene where you think your character might experience that. You can use that to give yourself bonus dice, as in monsters, like relationships do in normal monsters. And if they succeed, then you gain illumination dice. And at the end of the scene, you roll your illumination dice, and if you succeed, you have a revelation. You learn something you remember something about yourself. But if you fail, you keep the illumination
and
dice.
Build up.
And they build up until eventually you have a revelation. And so tell us about the first encounter. Like, lead us through the scenario, since you actually played it.
Okay, but I remember it was the bus ride there, and of course, the bus ride is great, where once again, a group of awesome players, so
Yeah.
we're all absolutely in character.
Yeah,
I mean,
that,
totally.
That I think was. it's too bad Andy wasn't there. I think he
Yeah.
would have really loved the sheer amount of role playing because we had some RPPR listeners, I think, and we had some. Yeah, they were. I don't have their names off the top of my head, but yeah. Anyways,
But I just affected a German accent because I thought it was fun.
yeah.
And but everyone was in characters back and forth, just going up against each other beautifully. And the first encounter was we were sent to what we thought were our rooms, but we couldn't, we didn't have any beds. You can't do that until you go find something, retrieve something from the boathouse.
Right. Now, just to give you a little insight, I didn't write up an encounter for this or a scenario. What I did is on walk over, because we were actually at the at a building a couple blocks away from the main convention center.
Union Station.
Union Station.
By the way, all your games are off in the boonies on this place.
Yeah, they were all of Arc Dreams events were at the same room at Union Station, which was quite annoying, let me tell you. But I digress. On the way over, I thought of the first initial encounter. I'd read the NPCs earlier, and one of them stood out was Wisteria. Wisteria was this teenage girl who was the orphanage's owner's daughter, and she was very spoiled, and she hated the orphans. So what I figured, she would put them on a snipe hunt, go out and find something useless and bring it back to me. Otherwise, haha, you can't be orphan. And since they're just little kids, they're like, okay, we'll do that.
Yeah, because everything an adult says is gospel.
Yeah, or a teenager. And so they go off to the lake to get an anchor from the boathouse, and
when we get there, a sea monster attacks the boathouse.
yeah.
And, it's a boathouse that's on the water itself, so the whole boathouse is pulled away from the shore into the middle of this lake, where we then have to get back to the shore.
Yeah.
And all kinds of different things were tried.
Yeah.
I had the Innsmouth look, so I had gills, so I just swam underwater all the way back.
Yeah. I think the thing is, I'm really looking forward to posting the actual play, because I think it really shows how everyone worked together and everyone came up with all these different ideas. And what the monster wasn't actually, I didn't stat it out as a monster. There's a great thing in one Roll Engine games where you can represent a threat with a threat pool, which is basically a dice pool, and that you roll it, and then the players have to any successful actions reduce dice from that pool. So I had a 15 dice pool. It was a big freaking sea monster, and it could do all kinds of nasty things. But every player, the players had to get 15 dice worth of successes in order to get to shore. And so they could, paralyze the monster. They could jump on a boat to get away. They could try and talk the monster out of it. They can call up ghosts from the lake to paralyze it. So everyone, literally, I don't think there was a single player who didn't contribute in some way, except for you. But you were basically like, haha, I got the shore. I picked the right skill.
Well, I was like, I can get out of this. I don't know what the hell's wrong with you people.
So everyone had I think it worked. It was a really great encounter. I mean, I sort of improvised. I had the basic setup in mind, but everyone really threw in, and I thought it was a really great opening action scene. And then, so then the staff of the orphanage finds you guys, it brings you back, and then
we go through the first dinner of the place, to give them the tour. And I forget what we did a few things after that.
You did you had your first day and you started exploring Candlewick. And
we went to the town.
Yeah, and the way it works is a few players had illumination or revelations about their past, and I gave one of them a relationship to the town drunk, and one to Father Magomil, who's so handsome he mesmerizes people with his handsomeness. And so the players sort of started investigating him, trying to figure out what his deal is, and so there's a lot of great role playing in there, and they sort of got the idea, I think, of what Candlewick is like. Is you start out and your characters are blank slates, and then they start building all these links, all these connections to other NPCs to all the NPCs in the town. Every NPC in the town is described, and described in such a way that you can set them as bad guys, good guys, and
or just guys,
or people. Yeah. Or, I mean, some are worse than others. Like the town butcher is this woman who seduces men and then, butchers them for,
meats.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert.
Oh, no.
So, I think any other thing...
But mainly, we had that one, big interaction was great, but the whole rest was just everyone 100% in character, bouncing off of each other beautifully.
Yeah, I don't think I've had a group that big work so well. I mean, it was really
we were in sync totally.
Yeah. Everyone pitched in. Everyone was great.
No one tried to steal the show.
Yeah, and everyone had their own little time to shine. I think everyone had. Even you, you were a little. I can't remember what you did specifically, but I'm sure you had some moments where you contributed. So, so that was Candlewick. What else? You demoed some games.
Yeah, I demoed a few games that, yes, I'm a horrible person that I can't remember the names of them. Then again, this was just me wandering around the dealer room, just more killing time before a game. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have my bag with me, and Andy was with me. He's like, dude, you want to try out some indie games? Like, yeah.
Okay.
So there was one. It was kind of a sci-fi game the backstory. The guy described the backstory more than we actually played.
Right.
And it was done with dice pools, where we just went through this one brief scene of trying to bluff our way past a guard. Which you roll some dice, and he has his own dice pool. He rolls against you. Like, well, I'm not believing you.
Burning Empire, perhaps.
Yeah.
Burning, no.
Yeah.
Shock 316.
I don't know.
Way to go, Tom.
It was fun. The other one we did was, I believe it was like Serial Homicide, I think is what it was called.
Serial Homicide.
Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But it's all done with headphones, like a CD that plays, like a serial killer is stalking the streets.
Okay.
And we played a very abridged version of it, where all the players around it, you choose, like one person chooses the forensics guy, or there's a psychic investigator. And you all roll a dice. If you get this number, you get a clue. Write this clue down, and then put it into the clue pool.
Okay.
So we had a game that it was over in like 5 minutes. We're like, dude, we found the killer. That's it. Actually, this is like 1% of the entire actual CD.
I see.
He says it actually has scene after scene after scene. Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. So, fun? Yes? Yay?
Yeah, we enjoyed it.
You didn't buy it, though, did you?
It was like $30.
Oh.
And this was the first day I just paid for the hotel. And apparently my card has a $1,500 a day limit. So I couldn't spy anything else until it cleared.
Ah. Well, that was your... Okay. All right, so the last game I ran, I think, was Sucrose Park. That was Sunday morning.
I've been in this one before.
Yeah. And the thing was, like, Sunday morning, I was dead. Like,
we all were.
Yeah, well, I especially. So I was more tired than you.
No, I did the exact same thing Saturday night you did.
Yeah, but I was running. I had built up more fatigue throughout the day through running events.
Is this just a pissing contest of who was more exhausted?
I guess that's really dumb, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. We were both.
So,
tired,
anyways, I got there late, but I had a full group again. And Sucrose Park, so they had 3 kids, 3 monsters. And they all picked the pre-gens out of the main monsters book. And they go to this theme park to figure out what's going on. That there's, this bad guy who's kidnapping kids and replacing them with robot duplicates. And so they start going about, figuring out what to do. But I think it's on the spot I decide that there's some juggalos who are going to give them some shit. So, like, 14-year-old juggalos who you're basically posers. Like, they've never even smoked a joint. But 420, hardcore for reals. Yeah. We old school.
In your face.
Yeah. And the players befriended them and then watched them as they were, kidnapped and turned into robot duplicates and, whatever. And so they destroyed the evil bad guy behind all the things. And then the evil brain... Well, anyways, I don't want to spoil anything. But they had a blast for it. And I think there are some RPPR listeners. In fact, one of them... I think his username is Big Zach or Big Snack. Big Knack on the RPPR forums actually had printed out and bound a copy of the New World Primer, had me autograph it. So,
oh ho!
I know, I'm internet famous now.
I would have, I could have been there, and I helped too.
Yeah, you could have been there, but you weren't.
I was doing my own thing. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now you know. So of course, though, those are the games we sort of all ran. But the big one we both played in, I think the thing that everyone's gonna be looking forward to when we post it, win, or if I ever decide to, because I hold the power.
You will.
Yeah, I know.
Was it 12 hours?
It was, if it's over 11 hours, it probably close to 12. So it's like the first session was at least 5.5 hours, and then the last one...
Second session was equally long.
Well, we had several breaks, so, I couldn't keep track. But yeah, close to probably 12 hours is what I'm guessing. Broken over 2 nights. Call of Cthulhu, World War I, U-boat scenario, run by Adam Scott Glancy of Pagan Publishing.
And I'm just going to say, role-playing doesn't get much better than that. Seriously, it really doesn't.
Ridiculous. There was me, Tom, let's see here, Greg Stolz again. Then there, first night, Shane Ivey, publisher. But then, of course, he realized he had a booth to run, and,
Yeah, he couldn't handle that.
Yeah, he had business.
He had work to do.
He had work to do. Unlike us. Well, I had work to do, too, but, whatever.
Frivolous work.
Then there was Hans Reiner, I think, the German.
He was also in the Zeppelin game.
He was, and then there was Frank Frey, who is a historical war game designer. He's actually written for Twilight. I looked him up. Twilight 2000 and Vampire. So we had game designers for like everyone but Tom. So the German guy.
I'm aspiring. So
yeah. So a game run by and played by nothing but history buffs and game designers.
I am a history buff. Yeah.
So I really think I need to get at least like 1 college credit for attending that game.
I think you...
Because it was pretty insane to have a level of...
When you ask, like, the simple question of, can I take the Maxim with me?
Yeah.
And, like, well, see, it doesn't have... it has, like...
Well, this model has a pintle mount, so you can't really... It doesn't have... the U-boat wouldn't even have a tripod to carry it with, and blah, 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 blah.
It's like, all the weapons are stored in this part of the ship, and this kind of container.
And have this many rounds and this many stick grenades, but you also have shuttling charges, it's not C4, it's a different type of plastic explosive. And, let's see.
And then, of course, Frank would jump in. Actually, I believe the first model of that weapon was actually called this. And this is from, these uniforms are from the Battle of Trafalgar.
Sold. And, well, yeah, I shoot a can. Highlights for me, obviously, I played part of the gun deck crew. And,
because gun skills, that's done.
Yeah. U-boats in that era had cannons on them because they...
Deck guns.
So you would come up and shoot the hell out of a ship.
Yeah. Fun fact, which we learned, torpedoes were actually considered bad, unsporting.
Yeah.
The normal thing is to get them to abandoned ship, to pull alongside them, point your deck gun at them, and say, "We're going to inspect your ship, and if any war material is found, the ship is evacuated and the ship is scuttled."
I think it's more of a matter of logistics, and the fact you only have 10 torpedoes on the U-boat, and you had 160 rounds for the cannon, and quite a few more for the
but we learned it was mostly boarding actions.
Yeah. So what we did is obviously the first thing we did, of course, we went from our went on patrol. So,
and I gotta say, okay, I love that part where before anything scary happened, we just had all right, I'm just gonna let you actually encounter a ship target and go through the process of sinking it.
Yeah.
So I'm playing the hydrophone operator.
Yeah.
With a wicked cool listen check. So we find a ship, line it up, do all the rolls, hit the ship twice, cause it to sink, and Hans, the German guy, he was the only other officer PC. So the captain's like, "Would you like to look through the periscope?" And I love it. He says, "Sure." Looks through, like, "Give me a sand check."
Yeah.
Which was okay. The ship was transporting horses.
Yeah.
And you see a horse leap off the ship and crash into one of the lifeboats and break it in half.
Yeah, and then Scott had to. That's based on fact. That actually happened. And I'm like,
"You're welcome."
Yeah. Like, wow, I'm even more horrified than I ever was before because World War I was even more horrific than I ever thought, and I knew it was pretty fucking horrific. So yeah,
my soul is crushed. I am full of fear and loathing.
Wow, even the U-boats, even the naval stuff was really, 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 dark and
yeah. Then of course after that we get into the scary shit.
Yeah,
and which then came upon Ross's finest moment.
Yeah, this was apparently it's a first. Well, obviously a personal first for me, and apparently very rare for any Call of Cthulhu to get to fire a cannon as part of a game. And so I fired the deck cannon and hit it with 2 out of 3 shots. The ship that we were trying to catch up to, it's a merchant ship. They wouldn't pull over for us.
Which is actually, like, that's weird.
Yeah. So we open fire on it. I shoot 2 into the aft of the ship.
The stern.
The stern, I'm sorry. And
both are correct.
I get to roll damage for it, so I do like 90 points of damage on average with each shot. So that's a lot. And apparently merchant ships to there had wooden interior walls, so it caught on fire, which apparently I did not know.
You do.
Yeah, now I know that.
And they finally started to abandon ship and row toward us.
Yeah.
And anyone who's ever played Call of Cthulhu, they're wearing Innsmouth clothes.
Yeah.
The rain jackets, the big hats.
Yeah, in August.
In
the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
So.
And I think one of the best moments is, we're demanding, disarm.
Yeah.
And they start seeing guns and pistols start being thrown over the side.
Yeah.
They keep getting closer. The more uneasy we get, and then I think one of them tries to use magic on the captain of the sub twice.
Yeah, exactly. But the captain managed to survive. Apparently, the previous playtest, the captain passed out, and everyone lost their shit. And apparently, it was a very brutal affair for PC and thing. But fortunately for us, we're paranoid enough that we have
experienced Call of Cthulhu players enough.
that we have them stay 100 yards away from the ship. So they're kind of just sitting ducks for Mr. Maxim, which
you were manning.
Yeah, and it got kind of ridiculous. At a certain point, it's like, can I just roll once? Because he had me like, how many fire? I'm going to fire 2 rounds at 10 guys. And it's like, okay.
Or two, a burst.
Yeah, spray.
And has anyone who's seen the last few minutes of the 4th Rambo movie? That's what we were doing to them to the Deep One hybrids.
Oh, I got an impale. Oh, I hit with both rounds. Yeah, don't roll.
Yeah, you're turning those rowboats into lunch meat.
I think I wound up killing 16 or 17 out of the like 28 that were on the 2 boats. So yeah, that was pretty satisfying. Although I think Scott got a little overboard with the hit locations. I mean, like, if I hit a guy with 2 rounds at the maximum, or even one round, do I really need to know where I hit him? But
yes,
apparently so. So that was quite entertaining. And then we go in there and we find out that they're up to all kinds of shenanigans. They have a bunch of orphans in their hold.
Children.
Which.
So we go to this one neutral Spanish port.
It's an island.
Yeah, it's an island, and I'm not even going to go into the history of this island.
Yeah, we know all about the culture and the history of the island.
So we drop the orphans off, and actually we have a big media coup for World War I. And that session ended. The first session ended with we're just leaving the island, and I'm going through the Deep One's notes and realizing that the drop-off point that they were going to drop these orphans off was the island we just dropped them off on.
Yeah, on the other side of the island. So, the second session we go to the town, find out what's going on, all kinds of shenanigans.
And that's when I have my big moment.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I actually convinced the entire police force of this village to help us assault this place on the other side of the island to get the children back.
Yeah.
And I did some good rolls, and apparently it was in rare form.
Yeah, no, you did. You had the languages and the persuasion to back it up. So
yeah, and
kudos to you.
Not to reveal everything that happened, you should listen to the actual plays when they're up.
It was a pretty epic assault. I mean,
yes, it was.
It was. I was very tired at the end, but I was like, wow, the way the scenario set up, it is like the springboard for a whole campaign. Like, honestly,
like a post-war thing where you go back,
or any number of
anything.
Options.
Yeah.
So it is something I would recommend highly to anyone. Whenever that book comes out, basically, we're going to do a whole episode like, oh my god, we finally have it after 3 years. Oh, let me rub it all over.
Like it smells delicious.
Yes, it smells like victory.
A dig to victory.
This was the scenario's called U-Boat
Horus or something.
Yeah, Horus, something like that. I have it written down. I don't have it off the top of my head. So that is something for you, the RPPR listeners, to look forward to.
It's 12 hours, but damn.
Yeah, I am definitely gonna break that up in 2 parts. I'll probably just do it like
part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, probably because wow.
Just wow.
Yeah, wow. Anyway, so those were our games. Those were the things that we played. I literally did not have time to do anything else. Like, I ran 7 games and I played in that, and I literally was eat, sleep, game, like run games. I ran a total game for like 7 games for a total of 38 people. So
heavy shit.
That was insane. Next year, I'm not going to do 6 games. That was like, I can do that, but I kind of want to do other things. Because I didn't get it. Unfortunately, I did not get any interviews in. So hopefully when I go to Dragon Con, I'll be able to get some in. So,
but dude, there's just too much shit going on.
Yeah. Anyway, what else did we did? We did buy some crap.
Well,
we
yes,
bought stuff.
it's not just a gaming convention, it's a bazaar. It's a great big market of game crap.
Yeah. So, do you want to go first, Tom? Or...
Sure.
Okay.
I've now recompleted my collection of Mutants and Mastermind stuff by getting the Mecha and Manga expansion to Mutants and Masterminds.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be using this. I'm really not into the whole mech thing, but Aaron picked it up, and he's like looking at it like, yeah.
Well, have you had a chance to read it?
Yes, I have.
Well, tell us about it. What are your impressions?
Well,
give us a review.
It's not even really. It's more manga than they cover everything they do in anime. There's giant robots, the pet monsters, the sword fighting ninjas, the Dragon Ball Z martial arts guys. Everything's in there, showing how to do it, where to put them in, should you use them with your ongoing campaign, or should you do a completely different campaign that's based on it. So, I mean, it's a pretty small book, but it really goes into a lot of detail on the stuff if you want to run an anime game.
Does the power level of does it go over 9,000? Does it?
It does.
Oh my fucking
God.
All right, internet jokes. All right, cool. Let's see. My biggest purchase, I think, was Eclipse Phase, which is transhumanist sci-fi horror. Brand new RPG from Catalyst Game Labs. They do Shadowrun, BattleTech.
I flipped through that thing. That shit's involved.
It's a very high concept game. Now, if you don't know what transhumanism is, it's the idea. It's the philosophy movement towards digitizing our minds, post singularity, artificial intelligence. What's that webcomic that does that? Aaron Diaz does it. Dresden Kodak. So. In a nutshell, several hundred years in the future, AIs called the Titans, military AIs, basically go all Skynet on humanity. Mm-hmm. Wipe out 95% of humanity. The other 5% escape, like Earth turns into a dead zone. No go, it's bad. All of the rest of the 500 million people left in humanity live on everywhere from the Mars to the they found space gates going to extrasolar systems, outside the solar system. So, space, space habitats. Now, but the Titans disappeared after they wrecked everyone's shit up. So nobody knows. Everybody's paranoid. No one, seed AIs, what they call self-improving AIs, are outlawed. Although you can have human intelligence AIs, sapient, just not getting better and better.
No geometric learning.
Exactly. Now, it has all kinds of sci-fi stuff, uplifted animals, all kinds of, augmented reality mesh.
Download your mind in a robot body.
Well, that's the main thing. The main thing is that the mind and body for a character are separate. Like, you have the ego, which is your mind, and your morph, which is your current body. Now, you can sleeve your body into your mind into a new body, so you can be a normal human, you could be a normal human body, you can be in a awesome animal robot super cyborg type body. There are all these different shells or body types that you can
and
pick.
It's really hard to die.
Yeah, basically everyone now is immortal since everyone has their mind. Almost everyone. There are people like, bioconservatism. You guys are Frankensteins. So that's sort of obligatory, I think, to have reactionary people in the sci-fi. So basically, the basic idea is that you find out that the AIs went rogue, the Titans went rogue because of an extraterrestrial intelligence, the ETI, and you don't know what it is, but it's out there, and it caused this thing called the exurgent virus, which basically wrecks everyone's shit up. Mm-hmm. And so you're a member of an organization called Firewall, dedicated to protecting humanity from what they call existential threats. Existential threats are things that could wipe out the remaining 500 million people. Like if the Titans came back, if there's some leftover bit of the exurgent virus flares up, and the viruses are self-improving, always changing, adapting. So imagine Event Horizon, Dead Space, probably Pandorum whenever that movie comes out. Sci-fi horror where your mind can be plugged into any body It's very hard to kill you because you can back up your mind like any piece of software. But if you get corrupted by virus, you could be fucked. So it's very, very high concept. There's a lot to absorb to run it. There's probably a lot to absorb to play it. It's based on a percentile system, kind of like Call of Cthulhu. So I really like it. It's a really cool read. I have no idea how I'm going to run it so far, but I know you want to play it.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So I'm basically at some point there will be an actual play of it. I will run at least a couple sessions of it, but I need to spend some time to really absorb it because the only flaw of the book that I can see so far is that it does not have an opening scenario, which I think this is such a high concept thing. It really needs, because you read it, you're like, wow, this is awesome. Oh, this is great. What the fuck am I gonna do with this shit? Because how do you get your players your mind is separate from your body. You live in space, no faster than light travel except from space gates. Aliens. Titan AIs.
Go.
Yeah, it's like, holy shit, what am I gonna do? It's a lot to absorb. So yeah. That's my biggest purchase. It premiered at Gen Con. They only sell like $25 a day, although I think it's out now. I think you can get it you can buy it now for monies.
Yeah.
Oh, one last thing. It's Creative Commons, which means you can use it as long as you don't make money off of it. Like, you can copy the text and use it for your own purposes, or the images, or all kinds of stuff. So that's very, very cool, very transhumanist of them. Yeah. So that is, I think, the first Creative Commons major RPG release. I'm not sure, but it's very, very cool. I would recommend it to everyone. Just even if you're not going to run it, there's so much shit in it, it's hard not to find something in a modern or sci-fi game that you would like, oh, I want this. This is neat. So
exactly.
Anyway.
I also bought a game called Shard, which is anthropomorphic animals in a fantasy setting. But the makers of this one took it and said, all right, we're going to have the anthropomorphic animals, a fantasy setting, and then everything else we're going to try to make, like, you've never seen this shit before. You will not, like, this shit, like, none of this will be familiar to you. You're going to have to read this shit and learn it, because every single thing in there, there's no just generic fantasy in it. Everything is like foreign, has a weird theme. Everything, like, every name of everything in this book, from every plant, every animal, every continent, the world, is it's a hard to pronounce, foreign sounding name, where you really, like, you better, if you're going to run this, you have a lot of shit to learn, kind of like that game you talked about.
Well, are there any really high concept things
Well, it's like the world itself isn't solid. It's spherical, but it's made of chunks that are held together with whatever. No one knows what they're held, but there's great huge gaps in the world, and apparently the big opening story suggests that the humanoid animals came from a human starship eons ago. That dropped them off on the planet, and they, took over, and there's so much shit in there that is just not what you would consider. You can't just be like, I play D&D, so I know fantasy. No, you don't. This is a book, I'm still reading it, trying to get it all down.
Are there any new mechanics or character types? I mean, is it swords and sorcery type of thing?
Swords and sorcery, magic. All magic is ritual. There's no spell lists and just spells.
Okay.
There's they've got gunpowder, early gunpowder weapons, magical. And there's no metal. Nothing is metal in this game. Everything is either a crystalline or gotten from an organic source, like wood or sap, amber, stuff like that.
Okay. So, would you recommend it, or?
I would. From what I've seen up to now, I think I've got about 45 to 50% of it down. From what it's a bit I've read, I do recommend it to anyone who likes a good fantasy game.
Okay. What about the mechanics? Have you had a chance to play it out?
That's among the 50% I'm still trying to get down.
Okay, fair enough. Let's see here. I picked up a couple of zombie games. I know this is going to be shocking to you. I picked up John Wick's new Shotgun Diaries, a zombie survival horror RPG. It's got a very novel approach to it. It's in a composition notebook held together with a rubber band. All the pages are loose leaf and they're all torn at the edges, so it looks like you ripped it from someone's diary. So it's Shotgun Diary. Very rules light. There's only like 16, 20 pages worth of material, all based on rolling d6s, and kind of indie RPG, like very kind of clever game mechanics. I look forward to running. It's definitely a game you can run as a pickup game. Like, it's much simpler than All Flesh Must Be Eaten. It's like you pick a type of survivor, like you're fast or you're strong or you're the guy with the guns, and it seems very cool. So that, and then the other game I got is the Zombie Cinema Story game, which comes in a little VHS box, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
with some cards, dice, and rules. And I haven't really read the rules yet. I haven't had time, but again, it looks like more of a board game kind of thing, and it looks like it would be another kind of fun, easy to pick up sort of game to run on an off day. So hopefully, I can have a more detailed review when I get a chance to run it for reals.
All right.
Or play it. What about you?
The only other thing really worth of note that I got was from it was the kind of zombies type game from Pagan Publishing.
The Hills Run Wild?
The Hills Run Wild, where you're playing, I think it's one of 4 various factions trying to uncover the Necronomicon, like a ghoul group, a Deep One group, a cultist group, and a weird fucked up monster group. I forget what it is. But it's kind of all the locations, it's cards, and basically like playing the zombies game. So I haven't had a chance to play it yet because I'm trying to need to find the right group that wants to play it. But I'll definitely give a more in-depth review once I've actually played it.
Yeah. I did get a couple other things. One, I got a review copy of HoboCon, which is a DVD documentary about 3 guys who decided to go to Gencon last year, Gencon 08, with no money, no plan, and see how they survive. So, like, apparently, like, they sleep in closets, on the floor. There's just, no food, and it's a very novel concept. I like the idea of it, and apparently the guys who make it are RPPR fans.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we will both watch it and give it a full review. It deserves a full review. So that's very cool. We'll have a link up for this episode. You can take a look at it if that sounds like something you would be interested in. What else did I get? I got Wizards of the Coast Dragon Magazine Annual #1, which is Dragon. Is now only online through the DDI online subscription thing. But they culled the best articles from the first year of it and put it on in a book. And I don't have the DDI description or subscription. Mine ran out, so and I never really looked at Dragon Magazine, but I really like having a book with these best articles. They have a kobold section. The first one is about kobolds. Like they have a really great thing. Like, if the kobold manages to bring someone to 0 hit points, roll this. It's like a kobold battle cry, like what they would do. 1 through 10, nothing happens. 11, the kobold gives a speech giving all the kobolds near him plus 5 hit points. And then, 13, my victory was entirely accidental. The kobold hides in the body of the guy he just killed. So he takes himself from the battlefield. So all the events are random, but it's a way of spicing up a kobold battle. And then they have the Ashen Covenant, which is a undead Orcus-controlled faction. Very cool. Then they have a big old section on gladiator fighting, arena fighting. New feats for that. Playing the Shadow Car as a race. Dompiers, half vampires. And all kinds of neat things. So
awesome.
If you're running a game, I would recommend it because there's just a lot of it's a potpourri. It's
layers upon layers.
It's layers upon layers. It's a rich tapestry of Dungeons and Dragons. I think
it's a KFC. It's a KFC famous bowl of stuff.
Yeah. That's a great image there, Tom. I also picked up Damnation City, White Wolf, New World of Darkness. Vampire oriented, but it can work anything. It's basically how to be a city movie and shaker, how to make a city, all kinds of different locations in the city, NPCs. It's just a lot of, you look it up, open up a random page, like, oh, this is neat. Oh, okay. Yeah. So very, very neat stuff. And And finally, Secret... Oh, wait, no, two more things. Secrets of Mesoamerica.
We already talked about that.
It's a great book. I haven't had time to read the other scenarios, but I've been reading a little bit about the history. It has a very good detailed history about, the Mayans, the Olmecs. Great art from Blair Reynolds. Honestly, the Well of Sacrifices is worth it alone. It's a perfect convention scenario. It's quick,
short, and
it's quick
and bloody,
and it punishes bad thinking, I would say. But yeah, it's a great scenario. Then finally, I got Grim War, which is a new setting for Wild Talents. It's written by Greg Stoles and Ken Hite, and it's basically set in the modern day era where mutant powers and magic have popped up, and it's like dark and very, very kind of like a new approach to superheroes or superpowers. So it's very cool. I haven't had time to really absorb it yet, but I'll have more reports later. I really like Wild Talents. Oh, wait! I totally forgot one of the games I ran. Age of Masks. I ran it for Wild Talents. It was actually my first game of Wild Talents ever that I've ran. I never ran it for you guys, because I was running Mutants and Masterminds for the Age of Masks. And kind of similar plot line. Had one of the RPPR listeners in there. I think he left one of his D20s behind. But it was, I had the players there. They were investigating the murder of another vigilante, and they uncovered the truth behind what was going on, why they all had powers, and why they could all do things normal people couldn't. And you know how the Age of Masks is.
I do.
It's a pretty... I think I didn't end it quite as... I think ended it differently. It was definitely a very fun game, and I like Wild Talents. It takes a little getting used to, because it's superheroes. You can build your powers, you do whatever you want, but very cool. So, anyways, let's see here. I think the only thing left is really our lessons learned, and then of course your anecdotes. So
yeah, the really lessons learned is shop around for a hotel first.
Yeah. You can go do, like, in February, do the block, like, register early so you can do the block. You can get the discount. Like, they set aside blocks of rooms at a discount. So maybe next year you can get a room at the Westin for $100 a night instead of
$300.
Yeah, $300. Wow.
One was another one. Yeah, eat light but often.
Yeah. That's key. Is just like it's a marathon event. It's an endurance contest, and you have to take care of yourself. You really have to take care of yourself in this. You can't just ignore your own body. You can't just like, I'll man it out. No, like, for me, what I did is I prepared by buying a lot of food ahead of time and eating it there. Like, I bought nuts, peanut butter, jelly,
granola,
bread, granola bars, lots of granola bars, Tic Tacs to keep my breath clean, or smelling nice, and you're not smelling like ass basically, and then lots of stuff Ricola to keep
lozenges.
Lozenges. Like, that was very useful because I was running so many damn games. So I kept and drinks like water and Dr. Pepper to wake up with, and water to have something to drink.
Hydration.
Yeah, hydration is key. It's key. So definitely bring your own food up there. Like, maybe not everything, but enough to keep you going, because what you really want to avoid, the absolute main thing you want to avoid, above all, is convention hall food. Like, the actual food they sell at the exhibition hall.
Not good.
No, you do not want that crap. You do not want that. So, and the other restaurants, that's fine. I mean, but,
well, that's part of the trip is I like to enjoy some of downtown Indy, too.
Well, I mean, it's not like world-renowned cuisine.
No, it's not, but it's still fun.
Yeah. Well...
shut up.
It's overpriced. It's going to be bar food or fast food, and you're going to wait a long time for it. Like the Subway, we waited fucking forever for that, didn't we? It was like
I never went there.
Oh wait, yeah, me and Jason, waited like half an hour for some Subway, and do you really want to wait half an hour for that? But
that's why I didn't go.
Yeah, so have your own food ready, and
bring an audiobook.
Bring an audiobook for the thing. And, like, for me, I'll just give a couple lessons on, or tips for running a convention game. Running a convention game is being prepared. And what I did beforehand, here's what I did, is I had a folder for each game. And what I do, in one pocket, I would have my scenario notes, everything I'd have written for it. And the other hand, I'd have all the pre-gens. And so I just pull that out, grab that before I'd go, and then, when you get to the table, pull it out, here's a stack of pre-gens, fight amongst yourselves. I don't care.
Let the blood flow.
Yeah, then I'd set up the recorder, the H2 recorder, and I would pass out postcards, get names and signups. If you're gonna podcasts. Yeah, I mean, obviously,
right.
And then just be ready to run it, right from the get go. I think convention goers, they don't want the Star Wars experience where you have someone who's totally unprepared to go. So be ready to improvise quite a bit, and don't follow the script too much, but have your notes and your pre-gens ready. Like, have everything separate, have everything ready to just pull out at a moment's notice, and keep care of your throat. Have those lozenges handy, and keep yourself protected. Because, honestly, by that Sunday game, I was dead tired. I barely had the energy to do it.
It might have been better that I wasn't, since I had to drive back.
Yeah. So, but I managed to power through it and get through it, and I'm glad everyone had a good time. So it kind of woke me up a little bit once I got in there.
And next year, I will be running things too.
Yeah. So we will figure that out. So I think when you're running a con game, just be prepared. Look at your shit ahead of time. Have your pre-gens ready. Have your notes ready.
Be ready to go in minutes.
Yeah.
Just
basically, I would be talking about the game itself, and the other thing is, when you're running the game, don't assume the players know the rule set. Like, a lot of people will sign up for games they've never played before because they want to try it out. They want to see what it's like. So, for every game I did, I had a short one-roll engine lesson, except for the Delta Green games because they're Call of Cthulhu. But I had I was like, here's, you roll matches, you roll sets, you're looking for this is,
and they picked up on it.
Yeah. Everyone got it pretty quickly. Also, have more dice than you need for yourself, because you'll know not everyone will bring their own dice. Don't be surprised if some of your dice wander off afterwards. I mean, you're at a convention, there better be somebody selling dice. So just basically have a bunch of dice is what I'm saying.
Oh, yes.
Which I kind of actually didn't have. I should have brought a couple of dice bags worth of stuff. I didn't I had dice, I just didn't have enough. I didn't have more. That's the one thing I learned. I had enough for me. I didn't have enough for everyone else. And
I had way more.
You should at least have a set for yourself and a communal set that you.
I had way more than I needed.
Yeah. So, and then be ready to answer questions. Know your material backwards and forwards, or at least the rules. At least I didn't have all the Wild Talents rules memorized. I just had the basics rules, so I could,
Yeah,
keep to that.
It's not good when you have to look through the book for minutes at a time.
No. That is dead. Honestly, for that last game, I was late, and the players afterwards they were like, "Oh, I was getting worried because you weren't showing up," and there were 2 other GMs there, and their players didn't show up. So but when I showed up, I was so relieved when you showed up there. You had the pre-gens ready, you were ready to go, and so
they'll remember it.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone at my table had a great time. At least they liked.
And therefore, the primary goal of gaming is accomplished.
Exactly. Fun. Exactly. So, if you're running a game, be at least polite to do this for the con, because you're usually getting some kind of benefit for running it at a convention, even if it's just a free badge or whatever. And the players will remember a great game, and they'll come back to you, or I have fans. I hopefully probably made a couple new fans of RPPR.
Awesomeness.
Another thing is also, don't be a dick about rules. I never turned anyone away because they didn't have the right amount of tickets or whatever. I let them if
me, for instance.
Yeah, exactly. You, other players.
No, wait, I did have. I had generic tickets, but
there's one guy there who had only one ticket, and I was like, I'm not going to turn you away from a game if you're wanting to play. I mean, whatever, it's a game, and yeah, they want their tickets, and they have this whole convention to run, but don't be
it's gaming.
Yeah, exactly. So
this isn't an elite game that only privileged members can join.
Yeah.
Don't be
You're trying to turn people onto the hobby.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that guy. So, and one other thing is, playtest your shit before you run it at a convention. Age of Masks, I hadn't played Wild Talents before, but I'd played lots of one-roll engine games before. So I knew the basic rule set, and I'd read it before ahead of time, and I'd run Age of Masks before, so I knew what I was going to do with that. So even that, the game I was least familiar with, I still had a pretty good idea. And all the other games I'd run before at least once, if not multiple times, I had my shit down. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
The only scenario I hadn't run before was Well of Sacrifice, and that was like an after-hours game.
And that was like 15 minutes of prepreparation.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, while you guys are making characters, I'll learn what the fuck this scenario is about. So
Super.
Yeah, that's actually something I'm going to have prepared next year, is have some scenarios I can run for any spontaneous games that might happen. So, yeah.
Preparation.
Exactly. Be over-prepared. If you have any other questions about running con games, I'd be happy to provide advice, since I've run enough of them now that I feel qualified to talk about any aspect
And
of it
I will
whatsoever.
try to qualify myself next year.
So, yeah, it was Gencon 2009. It went by in a blur. It was a blast. It was exhausting. It was exhilarating. It was very cool. Men saw a lot of new people. Got some new fans for RPPR, I think, and got some cool new games. Next year, I don't think I'll be running quite as many games, but we never know. Maybe I'll run after hours. RPPR fans only. Ooh. Yeah, they have the secret decoder ring and the secret handshake.
And the password.
And the password, yes. So, on the way back, we listened to the Stephen Colbert's
I'm America and so can you.
Which, obviously, nothing could live up to the Daily Show's book.
No,
I mean, that was like, wow. But it was pretty
And
good.
still, did pass the time.
Yeah. So,
We finished it, and we finished it shortly after St. Louis.
yeah. So
It shortened the trip considerably.
it did. So any final thoughts about this year's Gen Con, Tom?
Once again, good experience and good practice for the next time.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to bring more snacks, have more food. I'm not going to bring the mics anymore because I never get a chance to use them. I'll just try and record reviews on the recorder. Run less games so I have more time for interviews, but plan that stuff ahead of time. And yeah, so
That's it.
All right. With that, we'll have another episode in a few weeks with all kinds of our Tom's letter. Oh wait, I knew I was forgetting something. Do you know what I forgot?
I know what you forgot. I was just waiting to see.
The anecdote.
Which I have a very brief anecdote.
All right,
I'd like to say.
lay it on us.
I had one of those moments. where the players, I were about 100% sure they knew exactly where I was going to go, because there is the game Alderscape I mentioned. It's something Andy made, but I like to run stuff in it. So I told them when the first day of Gen Con, before the actual convention, I'm going to run you Andy especially, an action heavy game, because I know you never get those in Seattle. At least to get just the regular total crazy action movie stuff I do that he likes. So I started off. They meet one of their old favorite NPCs. It's a anthropomorphic animal world set in the 1920s. Andy calls it 19 furry. That he loves it. So you're driving through in this old in like a 1924 Duesenberg, and their friends talking to him, and they're waiting. All right, what adventure is he going to take us on? And then they're knocked out from an invisible gas inside the car. Wake up to one of the old villains that says I finally got you where I want you, and doing all that. And they're like, oh, it's like all right, and then he says, and then after he starts gloating, does the villain gloat, and then he stops now. He goes, it's showtime, and lights come up, and he's in a tuxedo, and there's a whole huge studio audience of demons. And they are sent on a crazy, violent game show. Imagine Running Man with magic, high-tech, monsters. And when I did this, when I opened that shot, they're like, what the fuck? And from that moment on, they I'm not assuming anything now.
Their minds were just blown.
I blew their minds.
Awesome.
In fact, I think after the convention, Andy said that was the best game of the convention.
Cool.
I do feel sorry for him, because after the convention, he got stuck in the Indianapolis airport for 2 days.
Poor Andy. Yeah, no wonder he's never coming back to Gen Con, is he?
I don't know. He might.
He might.
Depending on his money situation.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, I can assure you, we will be there next year.
Yep. So I guess I guess that winds up this year's Gen Con. So of course, next episode,
we'll be back.
I'll mention Dragon Con. I'm not gonna just
Oh my God! Whoa.
Yeah, I'm not gonna linger on it too long. I'll mention the highlights. We have a ridiculous amount of RPPR actual plays in the can. So
And more coming every day.
Yeah, well, we haven't played in a couple weeks now, so.
Well, yeah, but we will.
Yeah, we will. I will start up a second podcast feed for RPPR actual plays, just the actual plays. I'll move all of them out there and post one a week. So all you crazy actual play fiends who just can't get enough.
We will feed your addiction.
Yeah.
We are the enablers.
Yeah, something like that. And but that's something I need. I'm working on other projects right now, top secret or whatever, and they sort of take precedence. But it will be done, and of course you've got plenty. We'll keep feeding you.
And of course, Ross has to go to Argentina to visit his mistress.
Yeah, topical.
Yes.
Kind of. I know. Actually, I need to lay low after the MJ incident. I mean, wait, I've said too much. Though.
No witnesses.
Exactly. So, with that in mind, we
depart, dear listeners.
Yes. Until next time. This has been Role Playing Public Radio. I'm Ross Payton,
and I'm Tom. That's me.
Yeah. Hour and 20 minutes.
All right.
Yeah. Quick clack a boom, DJ KB. Doing it for you one time on the mic. Dungeon gangsta ho. Sword slips a sheet, strikes a neck and takes a throat out. I'm crawling through your dungeon and bitch, I'm leaving no doubt that you win pillage by the motherfucking best. Treasure hunting motherfucker, don't put me to the test, cause your chest is bare. You tried to rumble mailers, went two-handed, came in swinging careless. Didn't know that I was dual-wielding, the unyielding goblin peeling. Put you in the need of healing from the goblin shaman who wants to see me in a grave. But his magic is no threat, I'm always making saves in the caves on the underdog where goblins hold it down. I'll break up this warband and get back to town with the wagon load of treasure. Stack too high to measure, got wenches for the pleasure, slaying dragons at my leisure. Cause I'm rolling with a 20-sided die. I'm a badass dwarven fighter who makes epic level cry. You can't step to this, click clack a boom. All the sucker DMs, please step out of the room cause I'm rolling. Necromancer comes to town in a shroud of gloom. He assumes that he's too much for click clack a boom, cause he's got the arcane knowledge and the undead might. But that don't mean a thing to the nerdcore knight. First round whirlwind attack makes zombies read dead. Mouse acid arrow, I take it to the head. Spectators fled as I fell to the floor. I wasn't sure if I could take any more. Quicksand got me up to the defensive stance. I need to get in threatened square or I don't stand a chance at distance. Not resistant to spells and rays. This undead lich could probably keep this up for days. I was beyond good planning, what I needed was a miracle. That's when I heard the sound of a bard getting lyrical with DJ KB who slid in for the win. Now with the bardic bonus I was ready to begin. The beat was in my head, started feeling bold. Charged straight through the liches, Kona cold, slavering like a glue. I rusty on the mage. He lost his concentration when I got in melee range. 1 attack, 2 attack, 3 attack, 4. The chin couldn't stand up to my base attack score. I had no problem hitting. Watch the hit points burn. Took the motherfucker down in just one turn. He begged for mercy, blah blah blah. Took the mace to his face for the coup de grace. One swing cracked the skull, click clack a pow. Spit on the corpse, said, where's your magic now? Cause I'm rolling with a 20-sided die. I'm a badass dwarven fighter who makes epic level cry. You can't step to this, click clack kaboom. All the sucker DMs, please step out of the room cause I'm rolling. Cause I'm rolling with a 20-sided die. I'm a badass dwarven fighter who makes epic level cry. You can't step to this, click clack kaboom. All the sucker DMs, please step out of the room cause I'm rolling. Rolling. Click clack kaboom. DJ KB. Doing it to you in the ear hole. South Jersey what? 3.5 what? Fuck your 4th edition.